All right, look, we've all been talking about it for like 4 years now, so why don't we just cut to the chase? Killzone 2 is a first-person shooter. It is sci-fi, it is military, it is awesome. Key things you really need to know is the single player is very solid and a lot of fun to play. The weapons are very exciting to just pick up and shoot. Obviously that's pretty important, but you know, for me it was the default assault rifle, which has a nice red dot sight. You just zoom right in and, you know, get a real good distant, just squeeze, you just feather the trigger, just pat, pat, pat. Really accurate, great for headshots. But you find rocket launchers and sniper rifles and all this other stuff that, you know, depending on how you play, you're gonna find a weapon that's right for you. Fighting the Hellgas is fun, though the AI on the enemy is not particularly great. Thankfully, they do get a little tougher as the game goes on, and on top of that, they make up for that in numbers. So, you know, while you're juking one guy with your shiv, there's like 3 guys over there shooting you, and never quite goes quite right. So you want to kind of fight from a distance. The other thing is that the single player is not particularly heavy on story.
Alpha Squad, glad you made it. I need a hand.
That's really nothing new for a lot of first-person shooters, a lot of these big kind of set-piece focused shooters. All they really need to tell you is, go here, fight guys along the way. And that's actually more than enough, because Killzone 2 is a lot of fun. But when the last 20% of the game or so comes around, they try and spin it and try and make you care about the characters a little bit. And that stuff falls a little flat because they haven't really built up Sev or any of the other people in your squad as meaningful enough to care about. So as a result, you know, just focus on the trigger, the shooting, and that's what makes the campaign exciting. I think what people will really find memorable about Killzone 2 is its multiplayer. It's got 8 maps, and they all look just about as great as they do in the single player. You're gonna see the typical stuff that you expect to see in a multiplayer shooter here. You know, it's team-based all the time. You know, it's 32 players, 16 on 16 at its maximum. And you're gonna see basic modes like, you know, team deathmatch. You'll find assassination in there where one player gets selected as a target. You'll find like a one flag, capture the flag sort of situation. Search and destroy game type where you have to kind of go over and plant explosives on targets while the other team tries to prevent you from planting those explosives on those targets. The interesting thing that Killzone 2 does is that it takes all these things and puts them together into one big game. You're not going through the server browser and necessarily looking for match types and trying to figure out, well, I want to play deathmatch today or I want to play capture the flag, because by default, you'll get all of those in one round. How it does this is by cycling through the different mission types as you play. So you'll get like 5 minutes or so of a team deathmatch, and when one team wins, either by hitting a kill count or being ahead when time expires, that team gets 1 point. Then it's a few seconds of downtime, then it kicks right back up into the next mode, whether it's assassination or search and destroy or what have you. As a result, you know, each mode, you know, ends with one team getting 1 point. And at the end of, you know, 5 rounds, whether it's, you know, best of 5 or whatever the player configures, you end up figuring out which team won the overall battle. It keeps things very dynamic and keeps things very fluid, and it's a really nice way to take these modes that you've definitely seen before and make them feel fresh. There's also plenty of character customization in Killzone 2, but you won't see any of that right away. When you start out, really your only choice is, do you want the ISA's assault rifle or the Hellgas assault rifle? And the ISA one comes with that dot sight, so that's the one you really want. But later on, as you rank up and as you unlock more stuff, you'll be able to play the different classes. You'll unlock a medic, so you can revive down players with a little life gun. You'll be able to play as an engineer and build turrets. You'll be able to play as a saboteur and disguise yourself as a member of the other team. It's the same basic kind of class type stuff that you expect to see in Team Fortress 2, and carried over here, it actually works really well. One of the things that you might want to complain about right off the bat is the whole way that you'll have to ramp up to unlock these classes. I found that it actually works out quite well that way, because it forces all the players to not worry about all of that secondary role-playing type stuff and just focus on being good at the objectives and shooting. After a few hours of that, then maybe you're ready to occasionally use the medic gun or occasionally equip a shotgun instead of an assault rifle. I think overall this is going to be something that's going to help players to get better at playing those roles as opposed to making you choose a role right off the bat. And of course, you can't really talk about Killzone 2 without talking about the graphics. Across all modes, it's really an amazing looking game. It maintains a good frame rate throughout, and also it's very dirty. The game is filthy, and that's really something that really stands out about it. You know, anytime you look up at the sky, anytime you look across the battlefield, there's just it's hazy, you know, there's winds whipping around and just dust particles and smoke everywhere. So it really intensifies the feel of being on this battlefield and not really sure what's going to be around the bend or even what's straight ahead, because you can't even really see, you know, all the way across a bridge. You don't know what's waiting for you on the other side. Of course, there's a lot of great animation in Killzone 2, and that's something that's carried over from the original Killzone. Killzone 2 still has all that animation, but it splits the difference, and you never really feel like the game's taking control out of your hands just so it can look pretty. We could probably spend another hour debating whether the game looks better or worse than the original trailer and all that sort of stuff, but really at this point, none of that matters anymore. Killzone 2 is in stores now. Just go buy it. But how do they not bring the Killzone back again for Killzone 2?
It's not called the Killzone. But they could have called it the Killzone 2.
Killzone 2, yeah, exactly. They could have brought it at a new Killzone.
Killzone 2.
And it looks like nukes. It looks like it's been covered in dirt. Looks like it's been sitting outside on a ranch for an hour.
Gives you hell gas.
Just covered in, yeah, yes, it gives you hell gas.